You're listening to Moment of Truth, a weekly challenge from the front lines of faith, as heard on Courageous Christianity with Richard Mendelow, a radio show and podcast about real faith for the real world.
Today, our Moment of Truth comes from James chapter 4, verse 4, which says, "Don't you know that friendship with the world is hostility toward God?" Friendship with the world, or prioritizing worldly desires, values, and behaviors over spiritual ones, leads to separation from God. Living according to worldly standards and passions means living in opposition to God's will. More of the world means less of God. It's that simple. At the same time, joyfully, more of God means less of the world. As we seek intimacy with God, which can only come through the truth of His Word and through the genuine pursuit of that which He says is right and just, we can't forget that our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm. We can't be mad at people because they're lost, but neither can we allow them to steal our potential for good. As Christian warriors, we need to stay focused on the offense and defense of our mission, being intentional in our faith as we seek God at the same time as we're disciplined in denying evil forces access to our hearts, to our homes, and to our communities. We seek God and we deny evil. Recently in my job as an airline pilot, I flew a 4-day trip which brought this verse to life for me. My flights went to Honolulu and then to Denver. In Honolulu, I watched a group of activists marching along beside Waikiki Beach in a protest obviously designed to degrade Israel and insult Jews. Masquerading as a concerned expression for Palestine, the people who participated with such indignation draped themselves in the schmas of a region they knew nothing about and chanted things that made no geographical, political, or historical sense. Though saddened, I marveled at the stupidity of it. As a Jew, I could have been angry, but it was just too ludicrous to be angry about. It would have been like getting mad at clowns at a circus because of the way they wore their makeup. And it just so happened that in Denver the next day, as I looked down from my hotel window on one of the upper floors, I watched a similar protest. And what struck me about both of these protests was how amazingly well choreographed they were. In Denver, looking down from high above the street, I watched as a woman stood in the bed of a slow-moving pickup truck chanting on a megaphone as a group of misled protesters followed behind. And from my vantage point, I watched this mob behind the truck, and to me they looked like a mismatched marching band behind a tone-deaf conductor. At the same time as I thought of the woman in the back of the pickup truck as a well-paid instrument of evil, I again felt sad for the ignorant group which followed her thoughtlessly. It was like watching Facebook come to life in the worst way. And it also brought to life the reminder that our struggle is not against those misled, mindless masses, the flesh and blood of this world. Our struggle is against the powers of evil that design schemes to enslave them and us. And that's the important point. In order to love people as we should, we can't follow them in all of their twisted ways. If we want more of God, we have to distance ourselves from the lies of this world and the sources of those lies, whether social media, wrong relationships, the nightly news, our phones, or the lies we tell ourselves. We have to push out the lies of the world to make room for the truth of God. Each day, with intention, like warriors, like those Marines on those combat outposts, we have to read the Bible to learn and to plant deep in our hearts the truth of God. Then we have to resist whatever contradicts that truth. And finally, we have to hold ourselves accountable to that truth, taking our thoughts captive with joy and repenting of our sins, knowing that as we force out the world, so we make room for intimacy with God. And that's Courageous Christianity.
This has been your Moment of Truth. To hear the full conversation, visit CourageousChristianity.today/listen. Or search Courageous Christianity with Richard Mendelow wherever you get your podcasts.